Yo, this is D-Lo 404. Once again, I want to welcome you to my channel. Thank you for stopping by. If you're feeling my content, I'd like for you to subscribe to my channel. Please like, comment, and share as well. I just want to make a quick video, kind of a response video to some of the negative comments I'm seeing in regard to Tyson Fury and the Deontay Wilder fight being made. There's a lot of negative comments out, basically already making the excuse that Tyson Fury isn't ready for Wilder. Tyson Fury hasn't done anything since he came back. It's all sorts of stuff like that. I just want to talk a little bit about that. So, of course, I'm just watching other videos and, just trying to catch up on what's going on with the comments and with the videos that are being put out about the Fury versus Pianeta fight, as well as the announcement that the fight between Wilder and Fury is pretty much official. A lot of what I've been seeing is, people leaving comments or making videos saying things like, kind of like I just alluded to, that, this version of Fury isn't ready for Wilder, or there's no way this version of Fury beats Wilder. And mind you, these aren't supporters of Wilder making these comments or making these videos. These are pretty much supporters of Anthony Joshua, and even if they're not supporters of Anthony Joshua, the comments are pretty much made in criticism of the fight, of the Fury and Wilder fight in general. A lot of it's basically trying to discredit Wilder if he gets a win, even before the fight happens. Comments being made, saying that Fury looked bad in the fight and he didn't knock out Pianeta. Pianeta, he's a bum, and Fury couldn't knock him out, this, that, and the other. I just said this in my previous video, and I'll say it again. When has Tyson Fury ever been a knockout artist? Fury is great at what he does. He boxes well, he moves well, he has a great jab, he's lanky, uses his length well, and he's awkward. He keeps guys off balance. Sometimes that lends itself to him getting knockouts, but Fury is no one's knockout artist. Everyone knows that. So why criticize the man for not getting a knockout? That, I mean, honestly, if you follow boxing, if you watch Fury's fights, and even if you've seen Pianeta a couple times, those things should have led you to not expect the knockout. I personally would have liked to seen him knock him out. I would like to have seen him annihilate him in 1 or 2 rounds. That helps with the buildup of the fight, and that could keep cut back on some of this criticism. But then at the same time, people who want to criticize and find fault will do so regardless. Those same people, had Fury went and just blew the guy out in 1 or 2 rounds, would have criticized him and said that the fight was fixed, or that this guy was no kind of challenge for him, and this isn't the kind of guy he should be fighting to get ready for a big fight. And there would always be some type of criticism regardless. So with that said, what happened tonight or today, however you want to look at it, what happened when they fought happened. It played out as it did. Fury got good rounds in. He did good work in there. And he got the victory. After the victory, Wilder came in the ring, stepped to him, and pretty much, respectfully. He didn't come in there all rah-rah, just making a fuss and being disrespectful, because he didn't have to. Came in there and, they talked a little junk to each other, but ultimately they pretty much announced the fight unofficially. And I say unofficially just because they haven't announced a date or a venue yet. But they pretty much let the world know that, yeah, this fight's a done deal. As one of the particulars are going to be announced hopefully beginning of next week, I think is what they said. But my point is, it's like, it's one of those things, where it's like guys are trying to, want to cut off the nose to spite the face. You want to criticize Fury so bad just to discredit Wilder. And then at the same time, you'll have guys on the other side of it that's already, like saying, well, they're still on such a trip about just trying to put Wilder down. You got guys that, everybody in the heavyweight division, according to these people, have a better resume than Wilder. It's like Fury fought way better opposition than Wilder. That's what they're saying. Yeah, Wilder 40-0, but Fury fought way better opposition than Wilder. Wilder 40-0, AJ fought way better opposition than Wilder. Guys, there's a comment section in the bottom of this video, just like everyone else's. I implore you, you are very welcome to drop sensible comments or whatever. They gotta be irrational comments if that's what you gotta do, but drop comments in my comment section and tell me, please tell me who are these way better opposition that these guys have fought than the guys Wilder fought. When you say way better opposition, I need to know, because these guys don't have Evander Holyfield, Mike Tyson, Lennox Lewis, and guys like that on their resume. You know what I'm saying? These guys don't have, a bunch of Hall of Famers on their resume. They have a lot of these guys all have a bunch of journeymen. They have guys who were contenders at the time. They have guys who were ranked in the top 15, top 10 of sanctioning bodies when they had belts, or when they were on their way up to try to contend for a belt themselves. These guys weren't fighting world beaters. None of them. I had some guy tell me in somebody else's video, but I was commenting, the guy was like, yeah, man, Dylan White fought way better opposition than Wilder. I was like, who did he fight? Who did he fought? And then they go to, and they start throwing these names like Joseph Parker, and it's okay, with every loss, Joseph Parker proves to be not such a formidable foe. But even if you use Parker, let's not forget that Wilder tried to get that fight. Parker was very uninterested in that fight and made it clear that wasn't a fight he wanted. So what does Wilder do with that? Nothing. He can't do anything about that but move on to the next person. These guys, Fury and AJ, both shared Vladimir Klitschko as an opponent. Yes. At two different stages in his career, Fury got him when he was on a 10-year streak of winning, and looked very good. But I'll put it like this. Let me be clear about this. How I feel about the Vladimir Klitschko Fury fight. Honestly, I can't say that at any point in his career, Fury wouldn't have given Vlad problems just because of the way he fights, his movement, his angles, his awkwardness, his range. A lot of things he does well probably would have given Vlad problems. Now, do I think with Emmanuel Stewart in his corner, Emmanuel wouldn't have figured out a way to come up with a game plan to take away a lot of the things Tyson Fury does well? I think Emmanuel would have done that. Emmanuel was a boxing, as a trainer, he was a genius. Of course, I think he would have figured out he'd have had a game plan that would have took a lot of that stuff away and found a way for Vlad to get to him. But even if you can't do anything about that, Emmanuel was dead and gone at that time, so of course he wasn't there in the corner to coach him through that. But prior to that, you had the fight with Brian Jennings, where even though Vlad won a very wide decision, Vlad did not look very dominant in that Brian Jennings fight. There were times that I felt like Jennings was getting to him, and if he was a bigger puncher, he'd have done some serious damage. I just say this, as highly as I think of and thought of Vladimir Klitschko, I honestly expected him to make light work of Brian Jennings and I mean really just dominate him and get him out of there inside of definitely inside of the 12 rounds, but probably inside of like 8 rounds. I think what I was calling at the time of the fight. I was like, this guy, he's not gonna see the 9th round against Vlad. Well, it didn't play out like that. So to me, that was the indication that the writing was on the wall. But that said, Tyson Fury still has him on his resume. Tyson Fury beat him and dethroned him and took those belts. And of course, AJ also fought Vlad coming off of his layoff and the Tyson Fury loss and a couple years older in age, and went life and death with him. And he came up with the win. Ref stopped the fight. Vlad got hurt late in I think it was 11th round. Ref stopped the fight. AJ got his signature win. Not fixing to do a whole bunch of breakdown on what was what in that fight and, try to take away from his win. The man won the fight. It was a great fight. I think Fight of the Year candidate, Fight of the Year in some, I think voted Fight of the Year in some circles. So, I mean, it was a great win. Wilder doesn't have a Klitschko on his resume. And not only is that Wilder's doing, because you can always point the finger at the guy who doesn't have somebody on the resume and say, hey, why did you get this guy on there? Okay, well, I guess you could say he didn't do enough to make it happen. But at the same time, I mean, the other guy has to have a say. If he don't want to fight you, you're not going to get that fight. And Vlad was pretty much on record saying Wilder needs to do more. In other words, that wasn't a fight he wanted. And y'all can say what you want to say about that. Prior to Wilder beating Stiverne, Vlad was trying to get that fight with Stiverne to get that the WBC belt that his brother had and held for all those years. The only belt Vladimir's never held, and that would have made him undisputed champion. He was after that belt hard. When Wilder got that title, that same enthusiasm to make that fight wasn't there. In fact, Vlad tried to get Wilder to step aside and not fight Stiverne to give him a chance to fight Stiverne, and promising him that he can get his shot down the road because he still would have been WBC mandatory. And Wilder did not go for that. He wasn't going to pass up that opportunity to get his strap. So I take my hat off to to Wilder for not taking a step aside and doing the right thing, going ahead and getting his title, seizing that moment. But again, I know I kind of got off topic a little bit there, but again, my whole point is, the criticism for Wilder and Fury in this situation is unmerited. These guys are trying to fight. These guys both could go safer routes. They could, especially Wilder. Wilder could play the mandatory card and say, hey, I got to take care of Dominic Brazil and not fight Fury. He could have not been pursuing the AJ fight, but he's been out there trying to make the best possible fight he can make. Say what you want to say about his resume. Prior to the Ortiz fight or prior to the Stiverne rematch or what have you, regardless of what you think about all of that, I'm looking at the here and now. This guy's trying to make the best fight he can make, and but he has to do things that make sense and has to do things that make sense to him as a man. And I know a lot of people feel like Dillian White's some, mover and shaker in the heavyweight division, and he's really not. But when guys are saying that Wilder's ducking Dillian White and this and the other, man, that has a lot to do with the fact that Eddie Hearn is behind Dillian White and he's the one who's pushing that fight. I dare say that if Dillian White was with some other promoter and it was just clamor for him to get that fight, Wilder would have took care of it and got him out of the way. But the fact that Hearn refuses to make the AJ fight, but then is always saying, well, here you fight Dillian Whyte. I mean, I don't blame Wilder for saying, no, I'm not interested. Anything you have to offer, unless it's that guy that you covet so much, that's who I want. And it's not like he's giving Wilder anything. I mean, AJ has a chance to win the fight. He just take the fight and go out there and win it. But the thing is, Eddie Hearn and AJ both take it as if it's a foregone conclusion that he's going to lose the fight. I mean, even when it comes to the, the circumstances where Wilder was offering that, I'll take whatever, but as long as you give me this in a rematch, should I win? AJ himself came out of his mouth and said, well, that sounds like 50-50 to me. And I'm like, well, AJ, it's only, I'm saying to myself, AJ, don't you realize it's only 50-50 if you lose the fight? If you win, the rematch is not 50-50. It's not going to be flipped, so it won't be 50-50. But, it's like AJ already had made up in his mind he was going to lose the first fight. So in the second fight, he has to take what Wilder took, so that'll make the two fights a combined 50-50. So, and like I said, I know I'm kind of off track on this here, this kind of random stuff that, I'm seeing and reading and hearing on these videos that, it's like I'm trying to address things as I think of what I've already read, because I'm not writing down notes and stuff saying, hey, I'm going to talk about this, and this. I'm talking about what comes to my mind as it pertains to, to some of the disgusting stuff I read today. That's just, it's just ridiculous. Like one guy actually in someone's comment section saying, I don't rate Wilder at all, but I think he has a puncher's chance. Like, okay, if you don't rate the WBC champion, the longest reigning heavyweight champion, you have no business having a rating list at all. You shouldn't rate anybody in any division. You should not rate any fighter whatsoever. You should just watch boxing and enjoy it and keep your ratings, just say, I like this guy and I like that guy and I don't like that guy. But there's no sense in you talking about rating anybody. If you're not going to respect and rate this guy that is the longest reigning current champion in the division, has the most coveted title in the division, and has knocked out everybody that he's ever faced in the ring. And, regardless of, what you think of him and think of his opposition, if you can't, there's not a long list of heavyweights who have done what he's done. And if you can look at any and every heavyweight champion in history, they've all had their share of soft touches, especially this day and age. This day and age, they ain't even just the champions, man. Even these guys that are so-called contenders, they don't even want tough touches because they're close to a title shot and they're afraid to lose their spot in line. You know what I'm saying? Even you can look at a guy like Brazil don't want to fight anybody because he's scared to lose his spot behind Wilder. You got Chisora and Dillian Whyte should have a rematch, but Eddie Hearn is scared to make that fight because if Chisora beats Dillian Whyte has to take some steps back. If Dillian Whyte beats Chisora has to take some steps back, and they're both his fighters. It's like right now he knows that he can still make good money with both guys. So it's like why would he make that fight even though it makes a lot of financial sense to make it? He's thinking about he could do more with each guy individually than he's gonna get off of them fighting each other than one of their value drops. So it's thinking and logic like that that's hurting the division. It's hurting the sport and all. But right now I'm on the heavyweight division. I'm looking at it's too many of these guys that stand around looking at what's going on and not fighting each other, and that's crazy. It's ridiculous. The fact that Big Baby Miller is taking like 3 steps back to fight Tomas Adamek, even if he lost the fight, it's still, even if he goes out there and Adamek beats him, I'm still gonna say that fight was a stupid fight for them to make. It was a no-hoper. Honestly, it's a fight that Big Baby can only lose. He can't gain anything by beating this guy. He can only lose. Even if he beats him, he loses because it's somebody he shouldn't be fighting. So, and I'm talking about all these other guys to drive home my point that Wilder and Fury are trying to fight the best. They see themselves as two of the best in the division. And maybe they include AJ as one of the best, but AJ has shown very little interest in actually trying to make the Wilder fight. It's more so about, I don't really want this fight, but if I can get all the money and keep all the money, I'll fight you. And that's where, just like the whole $50 million deal was, he thought $50 million was way out there. And if they said they gave him $50 million, he'd take the fight. And then when they produced the $50 million, I think what came in their mind was like, well, they can give me a guarantee of $50 million. You know, I wanted this and the other. But then Eddie Hearn and his dad had other plans. But also, they probably showed him where, hey, you can get more than that if we can get Wilder to take a flat fee and come to the UK and we keep all the back end money. So, of course, AJ got on board with that. Like, yeah, I get to fight in front of my fans and I can make just as much money if I can keep all the back end money and make Wilder take a flat fee. You know, get all the back end money from both sides. That's probably better than a $50 million deal. You know, who knows? But when you're not interested in something, you know what I'm saying, you find ways to get out of it. You know, if you don't want to go on a date, you find a way to get out of going on that date. If you really, really, really want to get on a date, you find a way to go to on that date. Whether that means get off work early or whatever you got to do, you find a way to make that date. And that's kind of the same way I look at that stuff. Those guys didn't want to make that fight. That's why it didn't happen. And I'm talking about team AJ didn't want to make that fight. And being that they're quote unquote the A side is the side that makes a fight happen or not happen. You know, if you want to fight with a guy, you're the A side, you find a way to make the concessions to make that guy, you make that guy an offer he can't refuse, or an offer that makes him happy so he can take the fight. You don't try to find a way to undermine that person, undervalue them, and make them feel like that, you know, make them feel like they're getting ripped off to make the fight. The guy should be thrilled that he's in the fight, not feeling like he lost self-respect in accepting the deal. You know, so in this instance, this fight between Fury and Wilder seems to have been made without anyone feeling like they got backdoored on the deal. It seems like both sides are happy. And I think if the pay-per-view does great numbers, then or decent numbers, then they'll both be very happy. So, you know, but the money side of it, that's their business. My point is that whatever it took to make the fight happen, they seem to have found a way to make that happen, and that's what you do. If you want to fight somebody, you put forth an offer or deal, present a package to them that makes them feel like they're winning as well. Not that they're being stripped down to, and they should be thankful to be getting stripped down to get this deal. You know, so, but my whole point in this video is, you know, all this negativity and all this hate toward these two guys that are actually trying to do what these other fighters need to be doing, it needs to cease. And get these guys their respect, get these guys their props. These guys are doing what should be being done on a regular basis, on a consistent basis across all the divisions. It's too many of the top guys in these divisions in boxing ducking each other, don't want to fight one another. And my whole case in point is, you can look at Luis Ortiz. Wilder knocked this guy out, and he still can't get a fight with any other top heavyweights. You know, and even sticking with, go down to it's almost as far away from heavyweight as you could get. You look at, what happened with Rigondeaux. Rigondeaux, one of the top guys in his division, couldn't get a fight with the other top guy, save his life. And everybody was okay with that. And maybe that's what the fans are all right with these days. Maybe the fans don't really care about knowing who's really the best in the division. They just want their guy to have a title so that they can say that their guy is one of the best in the division, and that's good enough for them. I don't know, but I just know that those type thinking principles and things of that nature aren't what makes boxing the great sport it is. What makes boxing great is when guys that are in a position to make a power play dare to be great, and they pursue the best fights, and they go out there and make the best fights, and they're not making excuses trying to get out of making the fights. You know, they dare to be great, and they fight other top opposition and other top competition. You know, I'm gonna go ahead and get off. I think I done, talked about that enough for tonight. Then just about beat that subject to death. But I'll be back probably tomorrow to drop some more videos. Like I said in the beginning, if you like my videos, you liking my content, please subscribe, like, share, comment. Like I said, like I always say, I'm trying to build this channel. I can't build it without you. So thanks for watching my video, and I'm out of here. Peace.